Your Honor, this first statement is from Jonathan Bryant. Christina's death has and will have everlasting effects on my life for the rest of my life. Christina had a very tough life growing up. She lost her mother to cancer at a very young age and was forced to live with her aunt for several years until she turned 18 and then came to live with me. We made up for lost time as we could, building our relationship back to a fantastic father-daughter relationship. Losing Christina was beyond painful for me because of the strong relationship that we had built with her and my grandchildren. After the incident at Park Tavern, I don't call it an accident because it was done by someone that made very poor choices and resulted in the death of my child. I will never heal. I will never be the same. I have described it to people as I feel like a shell of a person trying to do what I think I'm supposed to be doing, feeling empty inside. I read an article about the incident that had a quote from Stephen Bailey. He stated, "I don't have a problem with alcohol." That statement floored me as he has had multiple DUIs. The court system failed me for allowing him to ever drive a motor vehicle after he had been convicted multiple times for DUIs. By allowing him to drive, I have lost my little girl, along with constant contact with my grandchildren. My heart is broken for the other victims also, as I know firsthand the effects of losing a child. It has been almost a year, and I can count on one hand how many days I've spent with the grandchildren, not for the lack of trying, but since they are in the custody of their fathers need control of the children. Christina would regularly make time to spend with me and my family members to make memories and enjoy the time together. Now that is gone. I have depression and anxiety, along with anger and lack of ambition because of the loss of my daughter and the loss of the contact with my grandchildren. My relationships with everyone I know, along with my family members, feel the effects. This next statement is from Christina's stepmom, Jen. Judge Boyos, thank you for the opportunity to present to you my victim impact statement. The evening of September 1st, 2024 is one that will never be forgotten, erased from my memory, or have any words to describe. Christina's father receiving a call with police on the speakerphone with a case number for the incident regarding Christina's death. You freeze. Time stands still. How could this happen? Christina's at work. Where are the kids? This isn't real. Time stops. You can't breathe. Your heart beating through your chest, just staring at one another, not knowing what to do next. Christina has 3 beautiful girls. Halston, who was just a month shy of her 2nd birthday. Lennon, who just turned 6 days before. Christina's father and I had celebrated with them all only days before with supper and bowling at Park Tavern. McKinley, the oldest of her girls, halfway to her 8th birthday, and who couldn't be more like her mom. What will happen to the girls who have lived their lives together as a family, now torn between 2 households, without their beloved mom, who thrived off new adventures, places to see, and their daily trips to Target? Christina was my best friend, confidant, and the daughter I never had. We had our daily check-ins each morning at 9 a.m., which would continue with endless messages throughout the day. Daily videos to Grandpa John throughout the day to share every moment and adventure Christina and the girls were on, followed by her calls to her dad every night she worked, always ending with, "I love you." Stephen Bailey has taken all of this away. 3 girls that no longer have their mom, only having pictures and memories that in time will fade. 3 girls that are no longer living in a home together. Instead, Hallie is with her father, and Lennon and Kinley are with theirs. John and I would spend time with Christina and the girls several days a week. now having to schedule times with their dads in hopes that we can spend time with them without upsetting their new schedules and routines. Stephen Bailey has taken away so much from us all. Stephen Bailey has been able to walk away, go home to his family, his children, continue living his life. But we have horrific nightmares, days where you can do nothing but lay in bed, because every time you move, there are nothing but tears. Moments you pick up the phone or look at your messages wondering, why haven't you heard from Christina? She's gone. Stephen Bailey took Christina's life and has also taken so many pieces of ours. No parent should ever have to lose a child under these circumstances. This was something that could have and should have been prevented. Stephen Bailey has destroyed the people we once were, taken away the happiness life once held, split up families and children that will never have their mom. Christina was John's baby girl, his little princess, and her girls are happiness. There really aren't words that will ever describe or paint a picture of our lives now. There is so much hurt, pain, anger, and sorrow. Christina is the brightest light in any room, a light we will never allow to dim, even through the toughest of days or the tears that never seem to end. We will always and forever fight for Christina and her baby girls. No amount of time, money, or sentencing will ever bring Christina back. But today, Judge Hoyos, we ask that you apply the most strict and lengthy sentence available to Stephen Bailey, and take into consideration the lives that have been lost, lives of the victims hurt, and all of the children, parents, families, and friends that are left behind trying to make sense of all of this, trying to put some of our broken pieces together and trying to put one foot in front of the other each day. Our lives will never be the same because of the senseless and selfish actions of Stephen Bailey. May justice be served today. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lutz, when you're ready.
Thank you. Your Honor, the next victim impact statement will be presented by Tegan D. Albani, and she does consent to audio and video.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Please just tell us your first and last names again.
My first name is Tegan. My last name is D. Albani.
Could you please spell your last name?
D''Albani.
Thank you. And please proceed.
I was severely injured at Park Tavern. Prior to arriving that night, I was at home rocking my 2-year-old son to sleep. I laid him in his crib and said what I said every night. "Good night, sir. Mama will see you in the morning." I did not return home again for 40 days. I was lucky though. Christina was not lucky, and now her children will never wake up and see their mother again. I remember seeing the car come. It happened so quickly that there was no time to respond. I remember laying on the ground and looking at my legs. They were broken and backwards. A policeman came to my side and told me, "You are going to be a priority to get to the hospital." Our table was filled with ICU nurses, and I knew exactly when I was told that I was a priority that it was not good. I remember repeating my husband's name and phone number over and over and over to make sure someone called him. I needed him to know what happened, and by the time he made it to the hospital, I was already intubated and sedated. He was forced to see me at my absolute worst. I will never forget looking up and seeing my legs, and my husband will never forget the first time he saw me at the hospital. My injuries were severe. I broke my left femur, which needed surgery. I broke part of my pelvis, which also needed a second surgery. I had a complete right dislocation, which required an external fixator on my right leg. I sat for days looking at bars coming out of my legs, while I was waiting for a third surgery to repair my knee. I wore an upper body brace because I fractured lower parts of my back. I had both liver and kidney lacerations and multiple cuts. I had a soft tissue injury that required surgery in November, several months after the initial injuries. That injury was missed early on in treatment. That was surgery number 4. As my recovery progressed, my right knee remained very unstable, leading to another complex knee surgery. Surgery number 5 was in March. After discharging in September from HCMC, I entered into weeks of inpatient rehab, where my only goal was to be able to stand on my good leg. My good leg was considered the one with the repaired femur. I spent weeks trying to stand well enough to get home to where my husband could care for me, as well as caring for our 2-year-old toddler. I returned home in October with home care nursing, physical, and occupational therapy. In November, I was finally cleared medically to stand on both legs and start the very long process of trying to walk with a walker and transition away from the wheelchair. This took many months. Finally, when I started to have some independence, it was determined that I needed an additional knee surgery, and that independence was once again ripped away. I've been attending outpatient physical therapy twice a week since December, and there's no end in sight. This situation has affected my family at the deepest level. My husband was suddenly thrown into single parenting, all while trying to navigate my recovery. He has sacrificed so much in order to help me. When I returned home, I couldn't do anything for myself. He had to take me to the bathroom, he had to bathe me, he had to care for the house and the child, all while watching me lie in bed. At this time, I still have not returned to work, and I'm unsure when I will be able to do that. My first night home in October, I had to sit in the hallway, in a dark hallway, gently rocking my son in my wheelchair. I physically could not get my wheelchair into his room, and I was nowhere near able to try and walk. When my husband put my son into his crib, I sat in the hallway sobbing because my son was screaming for his mom, and I was unable to help him. He was too young at the time to understand what was happening, but he did know Mom was different and that he was scared. I sat for weeks watching my son confused at why I couldn't play, pick him up, or even change his diaper. My heart broke for my child. Many tears fell for both my son and Christina's children. I still cannot decide what was harder, my 40 days of inpatient medical, or the first few months at home where I could not be the mother or wife that my family deserved. For the first few weeks after the accident, I felt an overwhelming amount of guilt. I felt like this was somehow my fault. If I would have just stayed home, I wouldn't have been hurt. If I would have just stayed with my child instead of going out with friends, my son wouldn't have been put through the confusion and pain he was put through. I feel guilty that I was alive and that my friend Gabe had passed away. I felt guilt that I was allowed to be a mother and Christina could not. I still struggle with understanding why I'm alive and others are not. I still struggle every time my son walks up to me and gently touches my leg and says, "Mama got hit by a car." Yep, Mama got hit by a car. Every owie or boo-boo he sees, he automatically now thinks that someone got hit by a car. And he recently turned 3 years old, and that's nothing that a 3-year-old should think. The anxiety and depression this situation has caused me is unmeasurable. I hate knowing that it has shaped me both physically and mentally in negative ways. I still struggle to find myself because who I see in the mirror is not me. Counting both traumatic wounds and surgical incisions, I have 20 scars that remind me of this day for the rest of my life. My days are dictated by the constant pain in my right leg. I do believe that alcoholism is a disease, but I also believe that Mr. Bailey chose to get into his car. With previous DWIs, he was well aware of the consequences of drinking and driving. He didn't care. He chose to get in the car, and now children have lost their mother, and my life has been affected for the rest of my life. In my opinion, he should have had his license permanently suspended already, but we all know that an invalid driver's license will not stop someone from driving a car. I'm thankful for the new bill that will increase the time a person is required to have an interlock. It's not the perfect answer to stop drunk driving, but it at least is a step in the right direction. Another step in the right direction is to sentence Mr. Bailey to the maximum allowed by the law. I believe in forgiveness, but this act is unforgivable. I have spent a very long time being angry. And I got to the point where I couldn't be angry anymore because it was taking so much of my energy away from my healing and away from me being a mother. I'm mad. I'm very mad, but I'm not letting that anger ruin my life anymore. Because after today, I'm gonna go to bed knowing that Mr. Bailey is in jail for several decades. And I woke up this morning feeling good about that. And I felt good knowing that when he woke up this morning, he knew he was going to jail. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marit, and I was one of the victims in the Park Tavern crash that occurred in September of 2024. While I was fortunate to physically walk away from the scene, I did not walk away without a lifetime of trauma. This incident has deeply affected me in ways that continue to shape how I go about my everyday life. This crash completely altered how I view everyday experiences that once felt safe and ordinary. I carry a new lens, one shaped by trauma, and it affects where I go, what I do, and how I interact with the world around me. I will never be able to fully explain the trauma I experienced that day. The sounds, the images I saw, they will live with me forever. I feel an anger that's hard to describe, a deep, bitter frustration that others still get to enjoy something as simple and peaceful as sitting on a patio without fear. That used to be a normal, even joyful experience for me too. Now, something as mundane as seeing people relax outside on a beautiful day, like we were all trying to do that day, fills me with sadness and rage because I don't get to do that without fear anymore. Even everyday sounds, like a car engine revving in the background, a noise that most people wouldn't even register, make me flinch and I can't relax until it fades. I'm angry that these things are just a part of me now. I've never been someone who lives in fear, but that's not a choice I get to make anymore. Even as I sit here and try to write this statement, I honestly don't know how to put into words the way this has affected me. It feels almost silly and insignificant in comparison to what we all experienced that day, including those who lost loved ones. Any words I try to string together feel small compared to the enormity of what I and everyone else experienced. I feel like I'm still discovering new ways for it to show up in my life. The emotional fallout continues to evolve, and each day reveals something else I didn't expect, another layer of grief, anxiety, or fear. That someone could be capable of causing this kind of harm is unimaginable, and yet here we are. There's a helplessness in even trying to explain it. The fear, confusion, and heartbreak of that day are things I will carry with me for the rest of my life, and no words will ever be truly able to explain that. This statement doesn't come close to expressing the full weight of what that day took from me, or for any of us who were there, or who knew and loved someone who was. I'm not able to fully articulate the impact it's had, and I'm not sure I ever will. What I do know is that my life feels different now. The fear, the grief, the unease, they've woven themselves into my day-to-day in ways I could not have imagined before. I wish I didn't have to write this. I wish none of us had a reason to. But this is where we are, trying to make sense of something that will never make sense. Thank you.
Thank you.